Charlotte and I have been playing and singing Fauré all of our working lives since we were students. And I think you do get to the stage where Fauré becomes interesting. More than just casually interesting, and you start to explore it. And that's what happened with us. And it really began when we decided to look at the Chanson rêve. Now, this is a cycle that not many people perform, and even less people know. And certainly, late Fauré still has a reputation of being difficult. And when we started to look at Chanson rêve, our immediate impression was that this was going to be difficult. But we persevered with it and in fact fell in love with the cycle and decided to build a recital on Chanson rêve as the key element. Fauré, late Fauré particularly, and Chanson rêve is the beginning of Fauré's late period, still has a reputation amongst audiences of being gritty and difficult to get to grips with. I think the trick, if there is one with Fauré, is that the performers have to have gone through that refining process and be able to present late Fauré to you as a listener without you having to worry about the gritty element. That's something that the performers have to deal with and be able to present it to you in the simple, beautiful, elegant way that Fauré writes it. It's Extraordinary Cycle for several reasons. It's 10 songs. It lasts 24 minutes. The first song is the longest song Fauré ever wrote. It's over 6 minutes long. Now, most songs, whether they be German Lieder or French melody, will fit into a 2.5 to 3 minute pattern. But not this one. 6 minutes. It's the most extraordinary song. The next group of songs are all over in half that time. And then the last group of 3, again, form a trio of songs which last about 6.5 minutes. It's a very interesting shape. And the other thing I think is very interesting about Chanson rêve is the language that Fauré uses, the musical language he uses. It's almost as if he's taken his chromatic, harmonic refinement to an extra level that he never actually achieves again. And perhaps it is in order to convey this sense of a young girl, Eve, this biblical, not religious figure, who wakes to the beauty of things, waking in paradise on the first morning of the world and discovering creatures, living things, the elements in which she's enthralled. And the language Fauré uses seems to have a heightened element even for him. To make a CD recital, you obviously need more than one piece, no matter how wonderful it is. Fauré, we're fortunate with him because he was passionate about women. He loved women, particularly sopranos. And many of his songs were written for sopranos. It wasn't until much later in his life that he discovered an interest in the male timbre. So finding songs that are suitable for women is not that hard in Fauré's output. What is hard, however, is to find poetry that's written from a woman's perspective. And that's a different thing from simply writing for a female voice. He wrote one other song cycle, which is reasonably well known, a group of 4 songs by a poetess, and the song cycle is called Mirage. Now, Mirage is even later than Chanson rêve, but it returns in a way to a slightly simpler style. It is exquisitely beautiful. There is no other way to describe it. Musically, it's almost the very end of his life, and he seems to be pointing a way for a next generation of composers. Mirage, I think, and Charlotte agrees with me, I'm sure, should only be sung by a woman. To have a man sing Mirage is almost as silly as having a woman singing Die schöne Müllerin. Yes, they can do it, but really the slightly bisexual nature of the poetry, of women admiring women, doesn't sit easily with the male voice, as long as you understand what the poetry is about, of course. Mirage makes a beautiful companion piece to Chanson. The rest of the music, we tried to find groups of songs that were not as overperformed as some of the early songs from Fauré's career. So the Venniese Cycle, although it's has at least 2 songs in it which are very popular, Mondaline being one of them, the rest of the cycle is not heard so often. So although I wouldn't describe this as being a rare Fauré recital, it contains some rare gems, and in particular the Chanson.